People often look at me today and assume that I've always been confident, that somehow I was born with this unstoppable self-assurance, this natural glow of certainty. But the truth is far from that. If I told you how insecure, how unsure, and how scared I used to be as a child, you probably wouldn't believe it. Confidence for me was never something that came naturally. It wasn't in my DNA. It wasn't something I woke up with one morning. Confidence for me was a skill, one that I had to learn, build, and fight for. When I was growing up, I was just an ordinary girl with very low self-esteem. I was awkward, lanky, unsure of myself, a geeky teenager who constantly felt like she didn't fit in. I was living in America at that time, and being Indian back then wasn't something that made you feel very included. I remember being made fun of for the way I looked, the way I talked, even for the color of my skin. It wasn't everyone, of course, just a few bullies at school. But those few voices can echo very loudly in your head when you're young. And for a long time, I let those voices define me. High school is difficult for most people, but for me, it was especially confusing. I felt invisible and yet too visible at the same time. I was trying to belong, but didn't quite know how. But here's the strange thing. Sometimes, when life pushes you down, it also plants a seed deep inside you. A seed that says, "One day I'll prove them wrong." When Miss India happened, I was still figuring out who I was. I didn't enter that competition thinking I would win. Honestly, I just wanted to see how far I could go. But I've always been competitive by nature. Not against others, but against myself. I wanted to test my limits. And that's when something changed. For the first time, I realized that confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. At first, I faked it, completely. I didn't know what confidence was supposed to feel like, so I pretended. I stood tall, smiled, spoke clearly, even when my heart was racing and my palms were sweating. I told myself, don't let them see that you're scared. And with time, something amazing happened. The act stopped being an act. The confidence I was faking slowly became real. I taught myself to believe in me. I taught myself that fear can only control you if you let it. And I realized something else. As a woman, if you allow yourself to be broken, the world will keep breaking you. If you allow yourself to be affected by every opinion, every judgment, every rejection, that's all you'll ever be. Affected. It's not just a woman's issue, but being a woman in show business. With an opinion, with a voice, it's not easy. I wasn't always outspoken. I learned to be that way. I learned to be okay with who I was, unapologetically. And that's what true confidence is. Not arrogance, not perfection, but acceptance. Acceptance of yourself, your flaws, your quirks, your strengths, your magic. I started becoming comfortable in my own skin. I began embracing the person I saw in the mirror, not the one people wanted me to be. I stopped chasing approval. I stopped waiting for someone else to tell me I was good enough. And when that happened, everything changed. I became the best version of myself, not perfect, but real. You see, everyone has the ability to do that, but most people never give themselves permission to. As a kid, I was creative. I loved writing, acting in school plays, doing little performances, but I never saw creativity as a real career. I thought it was just a hobby, and yet life somehow guided me toward it, toward this path of storytelling, performing, producing, creating. I don't know what it is. Call it destiny, call it energy, call it God. But I believe there's something bigger than us that nudges us in the right direction when we're lost. When I became Miss India and later Miss World, my life flipped overnight. I was still in college, studying, dreaming small dreams, and suddenly, I was traveling the world as an ambassador, representing my country, meeting people I'd only seen on television. Then movie offers started pouring in from India. At first, it didn't make sense to me. I wasn't an actress. I didn't know how to act. But the producers thought it would be good business to have Miss World in their movies. And you know what? They were right. My first few films did well. I even won awards. But that didn't mean I knew what I was doing. I was just learning on the job. I never went to film school. I didn't have formal training. I just had determination and curiosity. I told myself, if I can learn one thing, I can learn another. So that's exactly what I did. I learned to act. I learned to fall, to fail, to get back up again. And every time I fell, I promised myself, I'll never fall for the same reason twice. Failure doesn't scare me anymore, but complacency does. Because failure teaches you something success never can: humility, patience, resilience. And those lessons, those are priceless. There was a time when nobody cared about my opinion. I was just another supporting character in someone else's story. I had to work my way up, role by role, fight by fight, one small opportunity at a time. I remember being told no more times than I can count. I remember auditioning for roles that I didn't get, and working twice as hard just to prove that I belonged. You can't sit around waiting for life to knock on your door. Opportunities don't arrive gift-wrapped. You have to notice them, grab them, and run with them before someone else does. Because trust me, there will always be someone else waiting to take your spot. When I asked later why I was chosen as Miss World, the judges said something that stayed with me forever. They said, "There were women more beautiful than you, but when you spoke, you owned the room. You were confident." I was just 18, and that was the moment I realized the true power of confidence. Confidence can change your life. It can open doors that talent alone cannot. If you believe in yourself, truly, deeply, unapologetically, the world will have no choice but to believe in you too, because perception is reality. And when your perception of yourself changes, your entire world changes with it.